So we're going to be talking about the science of multitasking, and we're going to pay particular attention to the evidence as it pertains to attentiveness, learning, and mindfulness. So what those things mean. And by the end of today's training, we'll know if we can become a multitasking ninja, or we might learn something quite the contrary. So when we look at attentiveness, the vast amount of scientific data on dual tasking. So that would be like doing a linguistic or auditory task during an activity. So some of you are listening to me right now and you're doing something else as you're listening. That is associated with reduced activity in regions of the brain important for attention, as well as poorer performance. So when we are doing two things at once, we are over time chipping away at our brain's ability to pay attention. Several studies have proposed that individuals who are high media multitaskers have a confirmation bias towards multitasking. So they favor parallel processing. You know someone, or you are a person that says, no, I'm really good at multitasking. You don't understand. I've got 4 computers up right now. I am getting 10 times more done than anybody else because I am really, really good at multitasking. So the data says that that is wrong. Heavy media multitaskers performed worse on tests of task switching abilities, possibly be due to difficulties filtering out irrelevant information. So when you're multitasking, think of your computer. It spends the most energy rebooting, turning on. That's why it takes several minutes sometimes for computers to turn on. So when you're constantly going from one task to the other, you're constantly rebooting. Your brain cannot do two things at once. Your perception is that it can. And that's why we tend to have a confirmation bias to think that we are different. No, I'm different. I really can multitask. What is happening is your brain is going from one to the other at a very, very fast pace. And there are negative ramifications to your brain when we do that. So multitasking becomes addictive when we do it perpetually for long periods of time. And it's an addictive behavior that over time is going to decrease brain RAM and decrease our ability to pay attention and really absorb data. So when we look at learning, the more we multitask, the less we can accomplish because we slowly lose our ability to focus enough to learn. If you look at children earlier, like say 25 years ago, maybe when you were in school, and there wasn't the phones, there wasn't the distraction, you were focused on what your professor, what your teacher was teaching at that given moment. Chances are there were not a whole lot of children in your class 25 years ago. I know in my entire school, there was one who was on some type of ADHD medication. There was one in my entire class in 8th grade. So that is kind of going now, fast forward to future. Now it is very, very common for young children to be on that medication because they're not just able to focus on the teacher. There's a lot of other distractions that is available to them. So attention is essential to learning. And if we attempt from an early age to multitask constantly, we do not practice how to tune out the rest of the world, to engage in deeper processing. Right now, it shouldn't be, but my phone is on my desk and that phone is an attention stealer. It's going off. Somebody is calling me this very second. That is taking away, whether I want to admit it or not, it's taking away my ability to properly convey information. If you're looking at my eyes, 2 seconds ago, my eyes were looking at the phone because that's where the distraction was coming from. So you times that by 1,000 with all the distractions that are available from that device alone today, it's going to have a ramification toward to the brain. So empirical research has demonstrated that multitasking with technology, texting, listening to music, checking emails, negatively impacts our ability to learn, do homework, and really absorb data. We find that sometimes we can't speak as fluently on something that we learned, that we understand. We can't teach it fluently because we never fully assimilated that data, because we were multitasking when that data was given to us. So that goes into mindfulness. We mentioned the ADHD earlier. Many therapy based on mindfulness assist patients suffering from depression, anxiety, chronic pain, substance use, ADHD, and other conditions. Substance abuse alone, if you talk to a lot of alcoholics, they will say, I just needed to slow down. The alcohol, it just helped me slow down. There's so much in here. Just help me slow down. Now, not every alcoholic is going to say that, but it is a common statement that you hear from alcoholics. Man, I just needed to slow down. There's just so much moving in here, because they were probably multitasking for long periods of time, years and years at a time. When we look at decision fatigue, depending on how far you are in the Macro Millionaire Certification Manual, James Clear has a lot of information that you will read about in the manual on decision fatigue. And basically, decision fatigue is the theory that your brain has only the ability to do a certain amount of decisions per day. So think of when you're multitasking, team. If I text you, hey, what's up? You got to now decide. Oh, should I respond now? 1 decision. How should I respond? 2 decision. Should I use an emoji to respond? 3 decision. Should I just wait later to respond? 4th decision. That's 4 decisions in me just texting you, hey, what's up? 4 decisions. So think of the brains 30 years ago. They didn't have that 4 decisions. Now think of all the other decisions that you have. They have empirically proven this and changed the ways that judges' schedules work, because they did studies that judges were actually making worse decisions later on after lunch, later on in the afternoon, because they had made so many decisions earlier. And the worst decisions is you had less of a chance to be paroled later in the day, because the judge knew that they were decision fatigue. They knew, they were like, that just the words are blurry, the brain is foggy. You know what? I'm just going to keep this guy in jail because I just don't have the ability to assimilate all this data, and that's a safe route to go. So I'm going to keep this guy incarcerated, and we'll get him on the next parole hearing. So literally, if you had a parole hearing in the morning, you were more let off to have a judge look, assimilate, assess that data, and if it called to let you be free, you would have more of a chance of being free than in the latter part of the day. Absolutely powerful, guys. When you look at decision fatigue, this is a very real thing. So how can you conserve brain RAM? You're building a business, you're fathering a family, you're coaching sports, you're returning texts, you're inspiring clients who are also texting you, calling you. How do we conserve brain RAM? We use boundaries. We have an entire course on boundaries. I would highly suggest that you guys go and check out that course. We establish habits that eliminate the mental effort of making choices. Really, really cool when you form habits, because they take very little, arguably no brain RAM. You don't have to think to put your shoes on. You don't have to think to brush your teeth. You don't have to think literally to make your coffee. You just do it. It takes very, very little brain RAM. Set up your day by laying out your outfit the day before. So planning can help with decision fatigue. Steve Jobs had a wardrobe of the same suit. Why? Why would like this billionaire wear the same suit? Well, he had 100 different ones, but they were all the same every day. He didn't want to have to worry about, do the socks match? What underwear should I use? What should I go button up or pull over? He literally eliminated 7 decisions that we probably made this morning just by saying, you know what? That suit's going to be laid out. Same shoes, same socks, same underwear, same suit. Don't have to worry about it. Don't have to think about it. That might seem a little bit trivial, but that's literally 7 decisions that he was able to clean his brain of by doing that. And then obviously routine is key. Second is task blocking. Now we've heard of time blocking. Time blocking is a good technique to use. Time blocking would be, hey, between 1 and 2, I'm going to be doing client emails. And then after that, between 3 and 4, I'm gonna do this. Between 4 and 5, I'm gonna eat. That would be time blocking. Time blocking is good, but sometimes it can diminish our ability to have a feeling of fulfillment of completion. Because when you time block and 3 o'clock comes around and you're not done with that last client email, you're like, dang it, it's 4, but I still got 5 more emails to go. Oh, okay, well, I'll just do what's next on the schedule. Okay, so time is now controlling your schedule. When you task block, what you need to get done, your income producing activities, your daily method of operations, the things that matter, they get done. And you're left with a feeling of accomplishment. You're left with a feeling of winning your day, is what some folks would call it. So here you complete one task at a time, completely interruption free. No phone, no dogs. If you work from home, no kids, completely interruption free. Then you break, you open up your office doors, you take a walk outside, you ruffle your dog's face, you kiss your spouse, you return some texts, you do some personal stuff for 5-10 minutes, and then you move on to the next task. So you would divide your task into winning your morning, afternoon, and your evening. So every morning I have several tasks to win the morning. I do my gratitude journal. I work out. I drink half gallon of water. I eat 75 grams of protein. That is all done to win my morning before noon. I do my post is in there. So there's actually 5 or 6 different tasks. Once those are done, if I got 2 hours left in my morning, sweet, cool. I get on the phone, I socialize, I talk about time freedom, I maybe do a video. I've got 2 hours left because those tasks are done. Then I move to my evening or my afternoon. Okay, my afternoon. What tasks do I have to get done? These 6 things. Okay, those get done. Sometimes they take till 5 to get done because I'm taking longer breaks between. Sometimes I win my afternoon by 2. And then I go into winning my evening and what tasks need to be done there. So this is the way I'm much more controlled by growth-driven activities and less controlled by a clock. So some days, 2 o'clock rolls around, it's like rock and roll, man. Let's go out. Other days, it might be 8 o'clock at night where I'm like, whew, a lot of tasks. Took me a little bit longer on these bad boys today. But the clock doesn't dictate my schedule, the tasks do. You can also define your personal and professional hours and boundaries with these. So make sure your work schedule is known so that you're not interrupted. The more people understand, like, hey, I'm probably not going to get back to you on text as quickly as I used to be. Prepare your folks. We already mentioned schedule breaks throughout the day. And then not adding new tasks until old tasks become habits. Super important. I talked to one of y'all yesterday about taking on some exciting responsibility. And she was like, yeah, it sounds exciting, man, more money, get to do some more fulfillment. But there was already tasks on her plate that had not become habits yet. So she wasn't able to, it wasn't a good idea for her to take on this new task. Super important. So this can help you like really make decisions in life. Hey, should I take on this task? Do I have room? You know, is there things that are close to becoming habits? You know, I used to do, it's called 3-2-1. 3 stories a day, 2 posts, 1 reel. That used to be a task. It's no longer a task because it's automatic now. It gets done no matter what. So I was able to remove that task and replace it with another one. Super, super cool. So, and I wasn't taking on new tasks until that one was replaced out. So the reticular activating system, basically that is the brain's region that controls focus and what we focus on. Absolutely incredible, the science on the reticular activating system. What about if we could program our RAS? We absolutely can. There is a very, very good Netflix episode. I cannot speak to its scientific validity, but it's called Change Your Mind. It talks about how some pharmaceuticals are being used to literally cure, not treat, but cure depression, PTSD. It's absolutely crazy. We're going to talk about a non-pharmaceutical way to reprogram our reticular activating system. So we typically run old negative programs and reinforce them through our thoughts. Think of your brain like a record. It has grooves, and that pin goes in that groove over and over. So when we repeat something long enough, that's how that groove in our brain is formed. It will begin to program a non-conscious portion of the mind, which is the same part of the mind that controls the heartbeat, digestion, cell production. It's kind of like on autopilot. There's some things in your reticular activating system, or even some beliefs, that are just on autopilot. They're kind of like brain habits. Neuroscientists have discovered that you can create an almost infinite number of neural connections when you run new thought patterns. So if you're playing this old record and you want a non-pharmaceutical way to create a new groove, or think of when you sled on a brand new snow and then you sled over and over and over, you create a path, right? What if there was a way to have a fresh snowfall about a thought or about an action? You take a fresh snowfall where you create an entirely new pattern. How do we do that? How can we replace old records? How can we carve out a new pattern? So in order to create a new pattern, we have to create new thoughts. And that goes back to the course we talked about on how our thoughts are domesticated, then they become self-domesticated, then we grow attachments. So whenever you have a thought or a pattern that is not serving you, where did you learn? Go to the source of where you learned that pattern. And then reprogramming your reticular activating system could be just as simple as your words. I have to lose weight. People that say I have to lose weight, what is their RAS, reticular activating system, focused on? It focuses on the weight. I am just depressed. I can't get out of this funk. What's your brain thinking about? Depression, funk. I can't say no to junk food. What is the RAS focused on? Junk food. It will find junk food everywhere it goes. We had a guy in our small group session that we meet with on Wednesdays, and he said, for 21 days, I'm going to give up swearing. This guy was a sailor. Give up swearing, no more. Not going to speak that way anymore. We all got behind him. Yeah, we would support you. Guess what happened? He swore more. Why? His focus was on swearing. Even though his focus was, I want to give up, his RAS was just focused on swear words. And he had already developed a pattern, a habit of swearing. So it actually magnified the groove in his record. We had to retrain his words. I always fail on diets. What is your RAS going to focus on? Failure. So change the focus of your language. How about this? I am on a mission to move more and eat healthier. Now, move more, eat healthy. Now your RAS is thinking about eating more healthy. It's not thinking about weight. I am the type of person who makes healthy food choices. What is your brain focused on? Healthy choices, healthy choices. I am progressing instead of I always fail. What is your brain focusing on? I am progressing. So what this guy ultimately could have done that's trying to swear less is he could have picked someone in the group who doesn't use that vernacular. And he could have said, you know what? I want to talk more like this person. And that's ultimately what he did. So now every time his pattern, his habit of wanting to swear came up, he would think of this person. And this person doesn't do that. And slowly he started to swear less and less just by changing that thought process of what he's telling himself. Another way to reprogram your reticular activating system is your friends, family, and groups. When you say, I want to be healthier instead of I want to lose weight, and then someone else introduces evidence, someone around you says, yes, you can do that. That deepens that groove. Now, someone else says, didn't you try that before? That knocks you back into the groove of that record. Super important. If you knew the importance of, you would never let someone go and do surgery on your brain. You would never let your mom, your brother, your friend go into your brain and with a scalpel and carve surgery. That's what they're doing when they give you evidence contrary to what you're trying to do, especially if you're trying to retrain your RAS. It is that poignant. That's why when you hear things, oh, you got to cut the non-supportive people out. We're like, yeah, I get it. Think of them when you hear this, they're giving you a lobotomy. Would you get under the knife with them. No, it's just the same when they offer that lack of support or create evidence contrary to what you're trying to do. Groups are even more powerful because groups, you say, hey, I want to live healthier. Now you got a friend that's like, yeah, you can do that. Now you're cool. Now you're in a group. You're in a group right now and you've got like, yeah, of course you can do that. Look who else is doing it. Mary's doing it. Joe's doing it. Alfred's doing it. Groups and mentors are extremely important and powerful in what routines your subconscious will run. Now, they can also be very important. It's not always like positive, patty. A lot of times your groups will see blind spots that you don't see, grooves that you don't see, negative self-talk that you don't see, lack of belief or limiting beliefs that you don't see, and they will challenge you. They'll say, hey, we need to do a new groove. This is not right. No, it just doesn't work. No, and you'll push back. That's why groups, especially when you're in a funk or you're in a trench, are super important because they won't allow you. They'll create too much evidence for your brain to allow that negative thought pattern to continue. Super, super important. So what are we saying here in today's training? What are your key takeaways? Avoid distracted thinking. Get rid of the phone when you're tuned into a client. Get rid of the other distractions when you're tuned into a podcast. Have a notepad. You will absorb so much more information. Complete one task at a time. Undistracted. Do not learn or read in a distracted environment. If you want to consume that information, no dog barking in the background. No phone going off. Put those things away. We have a lady my wife works with. She will lock herself in her bathroom. She has 5 kids. When her husband gets home, she'll be like, I'll be in the bathroom. That's the only place she can get peace and quiet. So she's in the bathroom. Super weird, but it works for her. Create new subroutines in your brain by being deliberate where and with whom you spend your time with. I cannot express the importance of that enough. You have clients that are doing this. Whenever you have a client detach, it's because someone bumped them into an old routine pattern and now they're getting away from their support and they're having this person reinforce that old pattern. That's a great time for you to show up. Great time for you to show up. Live with empowered focus, choosing to let in certain thoughts. Team, I'd love to open this up for Q&A for any thoughts that you guys have. I think we have some other BDCs and AMs on this call as well.
Hey, Jesse, I just wanted to say when it was either you or Jason suggested task blocking instead of time blocking, I really didn't think it was that big of a deal because I'd always time blocked. But task blocking, I'm so much less stressed. Like knowing that I have to get my workout in, my DMOs in the day, whatever else is in that day. Like, so if, I had 3:00 scheduled for workout, and I'm not feeling it or something pops up, I'm not stressed because I missed it. So right. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, I can move that. I just have to get these tasks done in my days or the time I'm awake.
Dude, that is a beautiful way. You don't feel like, I'm a failure because I missed my 3:00 appointment.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Takes a lot of pressure off of you. So.
Team, I believe in this. I practice this, but I'm not practicing it right now. My phone is driving me nuts right now. Just being real talk. I will read, like I'm telling you guys to read undistracted and return text. And I have to put a little highlighter mark of where I'm reading so I don't forget, because my brain won't remember. Like, no, you already read that. Why? Because I'm returning text and I'm like, oh, who's that? Now, days that I don't do that, and I'll throw my phone like on the couch across the room when I'm in my office. Dude, it is bliss. Get my reading done. And by 4:00, 5:00 in the afternoon, my brain is fresh still. On days where I'm like multitasking a lot, it's not fresh.